Alrighty, the time has come. So surprisingly, 1.8.0 has dropped. A lot of people thought 1.7.3 was going to drop. The devs have stated that that was the next patch, but they changed their mind and decided to move it to 1.8.0. So in this review, we're going to go over all the big changes and what I found significant. The patch link will always be down below for you guys to check out for yourselves for all the changes, but we're just going to go over all the big changes, and there are a lot of them. Before we do start, go check out the first link in the description. It is up-to-date Bannerlord tips, guides, and news, so go check that out. It's a playlist full of stuff that you can find useful. Now let's look into it. Alrighty, so let's get straight into the changes. There's a bunch of them, and there's a lot of good changes as well. So let's do it. First, like always, we have a bunch of optimization changes to various menus, missions, and overall game mechanics, with crash fixes as well, like every patch, and it's always great to see. Next, one of the optimizations I did want to actually talk about is AI logic. So caravan price data and settlement variables have been changed to improve general campaign performance. So this pretty much means, and we're going to get into it a little bit further, that prices have changed for a lot of different items, which will make trading and caravans and also workshops and pretty much the whole economy change. So it could be changed for the better, the worse. We are going to see how it goes. Next, they added 4 new battle scenes. These battle scenes are obviously what's it called, the scenes that you see across the map depending on where the battle starts. It's only 4 new ones, but hey, it's better than any, you know what I mean, better than none, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, we got 4 new battle scenes. They didn't tell us exactly if they're plain, steppe, forest, but you know, you will eventually find them if you play long enough. Next, they added 6 new town scenes. This is actually, I do like this one a lot. They added town scenes to, I'm going to mess these names up. It is what it is. Phicon, Diamtha, Seneupa, Serenia, Epicrotia, and Donestica. I said all of them wrong. I know I did. But listen, new town scenes, if you want to go check those out, you guys can now run through that town, and you should see a whole new different town. So pretty cool. Next, they added a lot of armors. So I'm not going to read out all the armors. I'm just going to tell you what kind of armors they are, and then they're going to be on the screen as I talk about them. Alrighty. So first, they added 5 new Azurai shoulder pieces, and they should be on the screen right now. Next, they added 6 new Vlandian shoulder pieces, and they are on the screen right now. Next, they added 6 new Azurai helmets, all on the screen now. Next, they added 4 new Azurai body pieces, all on the screen now. And lastly, they added 1 new Empire cape, which is the heavy cloak, on the screen now as well. So Azurai got a lot of new pieces, and Vlandia got some love, and Empire got one as well. Alrighty, next they introduced new scene notification, cutscenes, more cutscenes, pretty much to give weight to events. These can be automatically opened when, whenever certain things happen in the world, or they can be triggered with the circle notification that you receive on the right side of your screen. Alrighty, so we have 2 different types. We have generic cutscenes and main story cutscenes. So the generic ones, if you didn't know what cutscenes are, by the way, previously before this patch, whenever you were going to execute somebody, you would see like this little animation of the person kneeling down, you with the axe. That's pretty much what they mean by a cutscene. So more of those. So now we're going to have one for your newborn, one for marriage, one for heir coming to age, one for death from old age, one from main hero dies in battle, clan member deaths, there's 2 variations for this one, joining a kingdom, kingdom being created, and kingdom being destroyed. Now for the main story, we have cutscenes for the supported faction being defeated, finding the banner pieces, there's 3 variations of this, pledge allegiance, conspiracy, 2 variations of this, and declaring the dragon banner. So you will see all these different cutscenes as you play the game, and I think it does add a lot of actual depth to the game, even though they're just small little cutscenes. Next, settlement values within the encyclopedia are now restricted to settlements that you are near. They are within your kingdom, or they have a clan member inside. I don't fully agree with this change. I've talked about this previously. Limiting the encyclopedia, in my opinion, to only what you are able to see. Well, while I get it's for immersion reasons, Like, you shouldn't be able to know what's going on in deep enemy territory. I think this should be something that should be able to be turned on and off in the settings, in my opinion, for whoever wants the different changes. I don't think restricting the encyclopedia, which is like the tool that players use whenever they're kind of stuck, is the right choice, in my opinion. But there it is. Next, they introduced a new hero deaths in combat's difficulty option and moved the enable birth and death to a separate module. So now, pretty much your main hero can die in combat. So, pretty, intense. So now they have 3 available options that can be changed during gameplay: disable all battle deaths player only, and enable all battle deaths. So you can now choose between those 3 options. And also, enable birth and death will now allow only will now only be visible during character creation if the birth and death options module is selected in the launcher. If the module doesn't exist, the default value is enabled. There you go. Next, they added a show on map button next to the names in the clan screen / members tabs. Whenever you're in those screens, you can actually click on show on map and they will show you exactly where they are on the map. Pretty useful. Next, big change. We have armor effectiveness improvements. So they reduced the armor coefficient from 100 to 50. In translation, this means 1 armor now provides 2 HP or health points against blunt attacks. They reduced blunt damage's pure damage coefficient from 1 to 0.4. They increased additional armor effectiveness against blunt damage from 0 to 0.25. And these changes will increase the effectiveness of mid to late game armor against blunt damages to make it feel a little more meaningful investment. So what this means pretty much is now armor is more effective versus early game units, as in tier 1, tier 2. They use a lot of blunt damage, those units, so therefore now you'll be able to withstand that if you have late game armor. Against other late game targets, your armor will still be a little bit more effective, but it won't be, because they're also late game, if that kind of makes sense. But now if you are, have the best armor in the game and you fight against some farmers, you're going to do a lot better now, and you shouldn't be able to be taken down quite as easy. Next, all combat mechanics effects, knockdown, knockback, and dismount, are now decided using a standard and deterministic model. Alrighty. So what this means, all weapons that can apply these combat mechanics effects have the relevant flag, like can knock down, can dismount. These flags are displayed on the weapon tool tips. So if you scroll over weapon, you can see what they can do. To apply any of these effects, an attacker should now deal enough damage to exceed a threshold damage, which is computed as the maximum hit points of the victim times its resistant percentage against the relevant effect. There it is. So now if you beat down a character hard enough, one of these can trigger. Pretty cool. What's it called? Athletic skill now increases resistant percentage against knockdown and knockback effects. So the higher your athletic skill, the more you are resistant to both knockdown and knockback. Riding skill now increases resistance percentage against thrust dismount and hooked dismount effects. So if you have very high riding, you can't get knocked off your horse as frequently. And certain attacks might reduce these resistances by a penetration amount. So if you have very low HP or your horse has very low HP, then again your resistance will actually go down. So it's very dynamic now. So very cool to see. And all perks which provide chance-based knockdown or knockback effects are replaced with these increasing penetrations for the same effects. There you go. Pretty cool. It's more dynamic now, so you can't just always know exactly how stuff is going to go down. A little bit more random. I like it personally. Next, they added light crossbows. So these are simple, light, fine crossbow. Those are the 3 that you can have, and they can now be set on the move and are also usable on mounts without a perk. There you go. So you can finally use the crossbow without the perk on your horse or camel. Sensational. Next, they decreased the damage of blunt weapons by approximately 10%. So overall, blunt weapons are down. Also, spike clubs now deal piercing instead of blunt damage, obviously because they are spiked. And throwing weapons now deal bonus damage to shields when thrown or in melee. So if you want to take down a shield a lot quicker, throwing axes is the way to go. Now, adjusted disorganized state penalties and the events that will trigger this state, they have been changed. They've been adjusted. So after a fight or when leaving an army, parties will be in a disorganized state for 6 hours. So after you just finished a fight or if you just left an army, your party will have downfalls to it. These will include the party moving 40% slower and they will have 20% less battle morale. So it kind of makes sense, you know, for 6 hours in game time, not too long, but this can actually give you some different play styles, and it will be a little bit more dynamic. Again, a little bit more randomized, and I think that's very good for gameplay. They said, in addition, if a player leaves some men behind in order to get away from a fight, this will be applied to the opponent. So for example, if you want, let's say you have an army, right? And they're getting chased down by a bigger army. If you let go of one clan and that clan goes to fight that army while you guys escape, guess what? That army that just fought, that was chasing you, is now 40% slower, so it helps you get away a lot faster. So again, it will add to tactics that can be used during gameplay, and I think it's very good. And they state missions that do not involve the entire party, clearing hideouts or alleys, prison breaks, will not cause a disorganized state. Only things that include the whole party or army. Alrighty, next, they implemented a new improved system for spawning reinforcements in battles. So this is how it's going to work. Reinforcements will now spawn from 3 different locations. The original one where the army spawned in the beginning, and then 2 different locations near the edges of the pretty much the map, right? And like, you know, if you get out the map, you kind of like start seeing like this red area, and tells you to come back into the map. So around there, they're going to start spawning. And these spawns are based on how much enemy troops are in these certain areas. So if there's too many, let's say you have spawn A, B, and C. If there's too many enemies in spawn B, and then, you know, just a little bit less in spawn C, but spawn A has no enemies in it, that is where your new reinforcements will spawn. So I think this is a very good system. It's going to make it look kind of more immersive. Instead of just spawning out of nowhere, they're going to run in from a different location where the enemies are not at. So very cool. Next, you can now reset your character and companions' perk assignments through the Arena Master for a suitable price. I think this is very, very good. So now you can do pretty much, you can respec your character and also your companions. You can respec your companions' perks and skills, which I think is sensational. I think it will help a lot with different gameplay. If you want to change it mid-game, obviously it's going to cost a price, but at the same time, very good for the game. Next, they improved the way the NPC child skill and trait trees are calculated. The child now receives skills and traits periodically instead of all at once when reaching adulthood. So as they grow, you will see what they're actually growing into based on their skills and traits. Pretty cool. Now onto skill experience. So a lot of things have been changed on how you actually get experience from different skills. So let's go through it. So scouting skill. Sustaining higher party speeds with larger parties will now grant more experience. There it is. So if you have a bigger party and you are fast, you will get scouting skill a lot faster. Combat skill. Attacking higher tier troops will now provide more experience. So this has to do with any combat skill, whether it's one-handed, two-handed, polearm, bow, crossbow, and throwing. All those included. If you attack higher tier troops, they give more experience than lower tier troops, which makes sense. Next, combat perks related to throwing and ranged weapons. They improved, they will improve the progression curve. So it's kind of like, it's going to be kind of like curved on how fast you can improve. So again, we'll see how it works. Now on to leadership skill. Instead of being a passive increase, it is now tied directly to the experience gained by the commanded troops. So if you command your troops, I'm guessing if you do different formations and all that, you will actually gain more leadership skill that way. We'll see how that works. I don't know. Maybe it'll even out. I did like the passive increase, but we'll see if this is a better method. Next, the Rotary Skill. Instead of a passive increase again, it is now tied directly to experience gained by commanding bandit troops. So if you command a lot of bandit troops, then you will increase your Rotary. Also, they have balanced the experience gained from looting, caravans, and villagers. So now, I'm guessing that was a little bit broken, but now it is balanced. Now for the engineering skill. Destroying siege engines now provides engineering skill experience as well. Cool. Now on to improving clan management via the clan screen. I thought this was a very big change as well. So you can now exchange the leader of any clan party that you wish. If you do not like the leader, you can change him out. You can now assign a new party leader to a clan party if the previous leader has died. So they will not just all disband. You can actually, keep the troops, just have a new leader. You can now also recall a clan member to your party if they are staying in a settlement. and you can send a clan member to stay at one of your towns or castles. So now you don't have to actually run to them. They can come back to you. Also, AI clans, which is not the player clans, but the other ones on the map, will also assign a party leader if the other one has died, and if there's one available. And also, they will change for better leaders as they see fit. So, pretty good too here. I think it's pretty significant. Next, they improved the campaign map UI. So they adjusted the decision score calculation of patrol, defend, and besiege stances to increase the siege success rates and aggressiveness of AI armies. So now the AI will actually do a lot better when they siege, when they patrol, or when they defend, depending on what you choose for them to do. They will not waste as much time, which I think is great. Armies will now disband themselves if there's no active wars. So you're not going to see active armies just patrolling for no reason. They will now join different armies. Will join different. For example, let's say you have two armies on the map, right? And one army is sieging a town. The AI will now be like, okay, maybe if we join that army and just come all together, we can take that town quicker. So they will now simultaneously go and help besiege a a town or a castle, which again will make for better progress in the army. And also they increased the minimum party size requirement for parties to join armies from 40% to 60%. So now you won't have clans that aren't ready for an army joining an army. All very good changes. Next, they introduced mercenary offers and vassalage offers. So what are these? These are pretty much offers that will pop up for you to either join as a mercenary or join as a vassal to different faction rulers. They will be sent out by the faction rulers, and you can accept them or deny them. So now you don't have to actually go and find the different faction rulers. If one of the faction rulers sees that you could be a good viable candidate, they will go to you, which I think is pretty cool. I did misunderstand this when I was reading it on the forums. I thought this meant that, for example, if you are the faction ruler or the kingdom ruler, that you can send out different offers or accept different offers from different clans to join as a vassal or join as a mercenary. I wish they do add that as well, but that is what it is for now. So pretty much, it's not that, it's just faction rulers will send you offers to either join their faction as a mercenary or a vassal. Next, they adjusted the supply and demand of various trade goods, improved the viability and longevity of trade gameplay, made caravans and workshops more profitable, as well as more risky investments. There you go. So trading is booming. We're here. Also, they added the Camel Ranch village type. So now there's a new village type, the Camel Ranch. Because obviously, especially in desert areas, it doesn't really make sense for them to be, horse villages, stuff like that. But it does make sense for there to be camel ranches. So, very cool. Now, on to crafting. They separated the crafting pieces unlocking experience into respective weapon types. So pretty much crafting your weapon now collects experience for that weapon type only. And any unlocked part will be available for that weapon type alone. So if you want new crafting, like, the parts to be unlocked for one-handed, you have to keep crafting one-handed weapons. If you want to do it for daggers, you have to keep crafting daggers, which makes sense. Crafting parts are now also unlocked gradually. So tier 1 parts first, followed by tier 2, and so on. So you have to unlock all the tier 1 parts first, then all the tier 2, then all the tier 3. Again, very good change in my opinion. And also, they made existing crafting pieces from weapon templates available across other weapon templates. So pretty much they also added, I'm pretty sure, and modified some of the different things that can be unlocked. And as you can see, for one-handed axe, two-handed axe, mace, and two-handed maces, there's a lot of different pummels. We got 69 pummels for everything except the mace that has 92 pummels. So pretty cool. Next, they lowered the upgrade chance of recruits, so now it will be a lot harder to find very high upgraded troops. It's sad to see, but it's probably good for the balance. Next, the player clan now needs to be at least tier 3 to request a meeting in castles and towns. So you can't do it right away when you start the game. You have to actually have some prominence, obviously by having a higher tier in game. Next, they updated the quest logs, alternative solution rewards, durations, and or requirements for various quests. And by various quests, I mean like literally all of them. It's on the screen right now for all of them that have been changed. but it's like 80% of the quest. So for me, this is great, but now I have to remake a whole different playlist with all the quests. If you guys didn't know, I have a playlist that shows off all the quests, how they're played out, and all the solutions. And now it looks like I have to remake it. But good to see. So the quests are a little bit changed up now, so if you did actually want to retry the quests, I think it's a good time to do that. Next, they improved the recognition of the player by NPCs in dialogues. If a player has high or low relations with an NPC, but they are not famous, the NPC now still knows their name. For example, NPCs should know who has been attacking their village and caravans. So you will have different replies, different facial expressions from the NPCs, depending on who you are to them. Again, good. Next, they added new encyclopedia entries for player siblings. They added new encyclopedia entries for explaining personality traits. Again, more information, great to see. And lastly, like always, there's a ton of modding changes. Not too many multiplayer changes, a lot of bug fixes for multiplayer, but modding changes, it is a wall of text with a lot of different changes. I can't personally explain them well because I am not a modder, but I think it is always great to see when there is a lot of it. And yeah, that will pretty much do it for me. Like always, go check out the playlist down below. I am going to be starting a playthrough in 1.8. That is going to be coming out soon as well. I'm happy to get back into it. Let's try to get a very good playthrough. A lot of stuff has changed. It's been a long time since I've done a full playthrough. So, yeah, get excited for that. Also, I have a lot of different videos to make on different things that have been added in this patch to kind of show off how to do it, how it's done. And I'm very excited for that as well. So, a lot of videos on the way and a lot of news for Bannerlord on the way as well. So, go check out the playlist, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.